Firefighter Turgut Abasov and his brigade carry out the remains of a person burned alive when a missile strike hit the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, some 20 miles from the Russian border. He and his colleagues have faced a relentless onslaught of attacks here in Kharkiv for 3 years since war began in February 2022. He says this was one of the most harrowing nights when a Russian strike hit an oil facility, setting houses and streets alight. They were unable to save everyone, as some were trapped inside their burning homes.
If I hadn't lived through all of this, if I hadn't seen all this horror, maybe I would believe that there will be peace, and you can live with a neighbor like this.
Можна жити з таким сусідом, спокійно жити.
Live peacefully and not worry about anything. But you can see it yourself what they've done.
Але ви самі все бачите, що вони накоїли, що вони зробили.
Russian forces have laid Ukrainian cities, towns and villages to waste and are edging forward along parts of the 600-mile front line across eastern and southern Ukraine. Russia said its special military operation responded to an existential threat posed by Kyiv's pursuit of NATO membership. Ukraine and the West call Russia's action an imperialist land grab. Despite the danger, Abasov's young family have stayed with him in Kharkiv. He says his wife said she would not abandon him. Their presence inspires me and gives me strength, he says.
Надає сил.
3 years on, though, and the reality for the emergency services and residents here has taken a grim toll. As air raid sirens continue to blare, Abasov says the war has changed things forever.
There is hope. There is always hope. Will I be calm after the war ends, or even if it freezes? No. I will not be calm because Russia is very close. And there is no trust anymore. No calmness like 3, 4 or 5 years ago. As they say, the finger will always be on the pulse.
Voters headed to polling stations across Germany on Sunday for an election that's set to restore power to the Conservatives, while the far right is forecast to achieve its best result yet in Europe's largest but struggling economy. Friedrich Merz's Conservative CDU-CSU bloc has been leading the polls. Merz voted in the western town of Arnsberg in the morning. Asked by reporters how election day would go, he replied, "It will go well." However, Merz's bloc is unlikely to win a majority given Germany's fragmented political landscape. And coalition talks are set to be tough, with parties divided over issues like migration and how to deal with the far-right party Alternative for Germany, or AfD. This could leave unpopular Chancellor Olaf Scholz in a caretaker role for months. Scholz cast his vote in the eastern town of Potsdam. His centre-left SPD is set for its worst result since World War II. A caretaker government would delay urgently needed policies to revive the economy. It would also create a leadership vacuum in the heart of Europe as it faces a host of challenges, including from US President Donald Trump. Trump has made moves to cut a ceasefire deal between Russia and Ukraine without Europe's involvement and threatened a trade war. Polls show Germans are now feeling the most pessimistic about their living standards since the 2008 financial crisis. This woman voted for Merz with the hope that he has some economic knowledge and can rebuild the country. While this man said energy prices, the divided country and migration were issues that concerned him. Public attitudes towards migration have hardened from the country's previous refugees welcome culture. The anti-migrant AfD is on track to take second place for the first time in a national election. That's despite the stigma linked to the far right due to the country's Nazi past, which has triggered protests from many Germans. The AFD is unlikely to govern for now, as all mainstream parties have ruled out working with it. But some analysts believe its election gains could pave the way for an AFD win in 2029.
Some federal agencies have told workers not to respond to an email from Elon Musk, which asked workers to list their accomplishments in the past week or get fired. The email has sparked confusion across US agencies and comes as Musk's cost-cutting team, DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency, has laid off 20,000 workers and offered buyouts to another 75,000. Federal workers on Saturday evening received an email with the subject, "What did you do last week?" It asked them to detail work done the previous week by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. Musk posted on X that failing to respond would be taken as a resignation. Reuters learned that Trump-appointed officials at the FBI and State Department had sent their staff emails telling them not to respond outside their chains of command. In an email seen by Reuters, FBI Chief Kash Patel said that, quote, "The FBI through the Office of the Director is in charge of all our review processes." And workers at the Departments of Defense, Homeland Security, Education and Commerce, as well as the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the National Institutes of Health, and the Internal Revenue Service were all also told not to respond pending further guidance, according to sources and emails seen by Reuters. A source also said workers at intelligence agencies likewise will be told not to respond. It's a possible sign of tension between Musk and members of the Republican administration. There is bipartisan agreement that the US government, which carries $36 trillion in debt, would benefit from reform. But the frantic pace of DOGE's campaign has led authorities to rush to rehire workers it fired. Those include people performing critical functions like securing the nation's nuclear arsenal, and those trying to fight the worsening US bird flu outbreak, which has caused egg prices to spike. The largest federal workers' union, the American Federation of Government Employees, also criticized Musk's email Sunday. It said it did not believe Elon had the authority to fire employees who do not respond. Musk on Sunday posted on X saying the email was, quote, "a very basic pulse check," and wrote, "extremely troubling that some parts of the government think this is too much." Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, a Republican, said on ABC News the whole situation was a clown car and that the email was a complete overstep that would be defeated in court.
What a pleasure. Good morning.
Hello, how are you? Good morning. Yes.
All for you.
Good morning.
Hey, good to see you.
Mr. President. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine and Ukraine.
This is an important day for all of us to be. I'm set for it.
Yeah. Advisor of our President Alexander Commission, and of course your ambassador. Welcome. The Office of President and Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine and Woffiha.
But the weather is
Head of the office and
very good to hear.
Okay. Everybody on the guys as well?
Inlaid with jade and agate, this Qing Dynasty lacquer panel is one of the thousands of artifacts being restored in China. That's as a part of conservation efforts underway behind the walls of Beijing's Forbidden City. A government-arranged tour on Friday gave a glimpse of the work taking place at the Palace Museum. Here is conservator Sun Oyu.
This is a pair of artworks. The other piece has already been fully restored. However, this particular piece has suffered severe damage. Firstly, its overall structure has cracks. Additionally, it has over 100 inlaid pieces, all of which have fallen or become loose. For this artifact, the wooden structure is first repaired by the wood group, and then the layer of lacquer paint is restored by the lacquer restoration team. Then finally, the inlaid decorations are reinforced and reattached by the inlaid restoration team. Additionally, there are some missing pieces.
2025 marks the 100th anniversary of the Palace Museum, which will open a new branch later this year. The new venue could triple the number of pieces on display. The Palace Museum holds nearly 2 million artifacts, but only a fraction, just 10,000, are on display at any given time. Over the past decade, the restoration of China's imperial treasures has gained momentum. That's been driven by President Xi Jinping's efforts to preserve China's heritage and project its cultural power on the global stage.